a client recently called me up and asked me if he can go and meet the complainant in a matter where he is an accused person, because the investigating officer called up my client, this accused person, and said that let us set up a meeting with the complainant and try to sort this out. This was a matter of cheating. The allegation was of cheating. And I explained to my client that the parties, whether it be the complainant or it be the accused person, meeting each other or reaching out to each other after the process of the criminal justice system has set into motion is almost always a bad idea. To illustrate, a couple of months ago, I was arguing a bail application for a person falsely accused of rape. And the complainant was there, her lawyer was there, her family was there opposing that bail application. The matter was adjourned for one reason or the other, and when we stepped out, we saw that the complainant and her family were standing dangerously close to us, just about 10 or 15 feet away. And wherever we would go outside the courtroom and discuss the matter, the family members of the accused person, who was at this point of time in jail, that they would kind of keep following us, trailing us a little, incur a huge risk of further false implication in a case. And because I have seen this happen on other occasions as well. Personally, in front of me, I have witnessed several of such instances happen. And that is why when I saw these people, the complainant, her family, dangerously lurking close to us in the hope of initiating a discussion on compromise, I promptly left the court premises. And I told my clients, the family of the accused person, to leave the premises as well. And I said, we'll discuss everything on the phone. 15 minutes into driving and having left the court, I get a call from these people saying that these people were lurking around and, an argument was raised, some sort of debate happened, some sort of dispute happened, some verbal altercation happened. And suddenly both parties, the family members of the accused person as well as the complainant and her entire family, also started fighting inside the court premises. And when that happened, and my clients, these family members of the accused person, also suffered some injuries, some bruises, I told them to immediately go to the police station inside the court complex, the police chowki that is there, and to report the offense. And they say, we'll see, shouldn't we just leave? Why are we just escalating the situation? And I told them that this must be done now, because in all probability, the girl is also going to go to the police station and going to file her complaint. They did not pay heed to my advice again. But after a lot of convincing, I think about 10 minutes of convincing, I told them to now definitely go to the police chowki. And when they reached that police chowki, they tell me that they found the complainant lady to already be there. And the icing on the cake is that all her clothes are torn. Whereas in fact, during that fight, at no point of time did any of her clothes ever get torn. And so after the fight, the lady tears her own clothes, stands before the police and says that I have already filed a rape case against this man who is in custody, and now his family members, in order to force me to take the case back, molested me inside the court premises, tried to take advantage of me. I want you to write down my report and arrest these people. And now these clients are telling me, what should we do? And I don't really have an answer for them, because the police are there now ready to register that FIR and arrest these persons. And they are already devastated by the fact that their family member is already in custody since a couple of weeks, and things are now just going to get worse. And so this particular client who reached out to me recently and asked me whether he should go and meet the complainant directly in a case of cheating, where the matter can be quashed, upon compromise between the parties. Even then, I told him that it is best if you don't go yourself. It is best if your lawyer, and I was not the main leading lawyer in that matter, so I told him your lawyer, whoever the main leading lawyer is, should go and do the discussion for the negotiation with the complainant's lawyer. Because lawyers, as a general courtesy to each other, do not file false cases against each other when they are representing their clients. They understand it's their job. They do not want to take it personally. However, having said that, there is one thing that you must be a little careful about, which I talk from having seen dozens of situations where the lawyer themselves try to take advantage of the situation, that they are the ones entering into negotiations. And on a lot of occasions, the lawyers from both sides kind of get together, agree on mutually agreeable terms, and effect a settlement out of which they are able to take a small cut for themselves. And they go back to their clients and feed them this little story of how what needs to be done in what kind of a way, and they just make it happen. Despite this issue, despite this challenge, it is still better to send your lawyers, or even if there is a compromise discussion taking on. The problem is, if you have some official channels, say maybe emails or WhatsApp, it will end up as proof in a court of law if the negotiation proceedings fail. And therefore, everything must be done orally. And if you're doing it orally, it must be done. And if it has to happen, in the presence of parties, it is better that the lawyers do it. It does stretch out things by a huge extent. Lawyers do a lot of back and forth. A compromise deed is drafted, sent to the other side. The other side's lawyer wants to justify his fees as well, and so redrafts that compromise in various ways and then sends it back. And with this back and forth, of course, the legal fees goes up, the time spent goes up. But this is the one way to ensure that you do not fall into any sort of false cases, and the other party is also able to ensure the same.